Not because we're going to use it against you, God forbid. We're recording it so that whoever's here or not here, remember, there's still a bunch of guys still wherever in Kutzlights we call it. Keep reaching out to them. Don't forget about the crew that were here, because you never know, they might make it back. What do you reckon? They're coming back?
Who?
The guys that left.
Not next week.
Maybe next week?
No, not.
Whatever. That's what they've been saying every time we're gonna find them.
The parents are scared. They're saying till the war's over.
Till the war's over. This is going to be like a 6 month.
At the end of it now. So.
Yeah, we don't know how long this is going. You know, I'd love it to be over tomorrow, and that's why today's class we're going to talk about win-win. We're going to talk about victory, because even though really all the things we talked about. Remember, we had a heart over here, and we had the private victory. Yeah, that's the private. It's about like you getting yourself together. So we said before we can go public, we first have to sort out the private. Remember, 1, 2, 3, proactive, end in mind. First things first. And remember, this is all within the intimacy flow. That's why it's in the shape of a heart. We're trying to be loving people, that we can be able to get to the level of having a relationship with someone that actually lasts, which is a big accomplishment in 2023. Agreed? That's a victory. Just if you can stay married. As I said, I'm married 21 years, 22 years is Hanukkah. That's a victory for me personally. But now the problem is we're in a sort of emergency situation. We don't want to be usually in these kind of scenarios like we're in now with a war. This is not how you want to work on yourself. You want to do it in step-by-step process. Every so on there's going to come along situations where you're going to be tested. We've been talking about that with Avraham Avinu. He was tested. There's going to be situations going to be tested. So usually I would wait till Shmos, till we start talking about Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, like as a whole, as a nation. Because we switch. Right now we're talking about individuals. Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. This is the winter, the beginning part. We're getting ready for the Hanukkah, you've really been here now, solid time. You can really feel like you've accomplished. And then we can start talking about what we're going to do for the nation. So too in the Torah, what we're going to do for Bnei Israel. Yeah, but right now I don't really have that leisure to just say we'll hold off on getting to win-win, to victory, because we want victory now. Yeah, because every minute that soldiers out there, guys, every minute one of my son's out there, he's still a whole week now in Gaza. I haven't heard from him directly once. His phone's been taken away. You know, every week our soldiers are out there. We're just hearing another death, another injury, another story. And obviously we want them to do this. We want them to win and kill our enemies. But the longer it goes, the more casualties and painful it is and more politicized, and it's difficult. But they also have to do it in the right way. We can't rush, this kind of process is very difficult. So as much as we want this war over and everyone back here and life goes back to a more positive, hopeful level. In the meanwhile, while we're still in this war, we got to step on the pedal a little bit, like all of us. So one of the things I haven't done so much, which I regret not doing, but it's going to be up to you guys to do. I asked you last week in the chat, if anyone takes a look in the Intimacy Boys chat that you guys yourself set up. You're going to have to come to me with a little bit more Q&A, like things you want to discuss about intimacy, so that we can get more sorted out in a public place. Because once we've got this down, now you're more aware of what your issues are. Now we can start as a group. We can work it out together. I can't do this myself. I can't really help you guys unless you want to help yourselves, and that means help as a group. Obviously, it's anonymous. We're not going to say names. Remember, it's recorded. Well, any questions that come up, any personal stuff, anyone wants to speak to me before, after, during, I'm open to talk about these kind of subjects. They're difficult for 2023 because, as we mentioned, sex education, as an example in Netflix, it's a very confused world in this story. And you can see by your generation of teenagers, what are they running around university? Because a lot of guys and girls at your age are in university now. They didn't get this gap year or a few years to take out of that. And what are they doing in America? What are they in the UK? What are they chanting? How are they talking? They don't sound like they've got their heads on straight to me. Yeah? Agreed?
Yes.
what they're saying, things like free Palestine to the river to the sea, that means genocide of the Jewish people. Like, it's not the kind of stuff I was saying when I was at university, and nobody was saying, even the Arabs or the Muslims or the Christians or anyone I met in university, no one was saying stuff like that. There was beginning plants of seeds of that kind of conversation, but it wasn't so explicit, the hatred and the disdain for us. And so that's just a very extreme example, but it's all been within, like BLM riots 2 years before and the year before. Like, there's been this boiling point in the world in the young generation of confusion. And as I said, the sex education Netflix series shows where it's at on the sexual intimacy level, that it's a bit screwed, yeah, literally. Like, it's just free about feelings and no real logic, nothing rational. Like, did anyone check out Ben Shapiro in Cambridge and Oxford? Anyone have a look? Yeah, you watched it?
Just watched the whole thing this morning.
Yeah, I literally watched the whole thing late at night. Cause I don't like staying up too late because then it messes me up. Like, so then I can't get up for like this kind of stuff in my full focus. But I was mesmerized by not them, they were a joke, but the way he dealt with them, like his ability to deal with the new generation of university, like supposed elite. And then if these are the elite, God save the Queen and the King and everyone else, yeah? Because they're not really the elite. They're pretty... I wasn't impressed. I don't know if you guys felt the same. Like, their arguments were not at all on par with where he was. And he destroyed them, as they say. Or, they'll take a clip where it makes it look like they destroyed him, but it doesn't. I mean, it's anyone who puts it into the full context, he destroyed all of them. And it wasn't like destroying. He literally just showed they're just missing facts and they're missing values and morality. And so based on that we're in such a time and these kind of discussions that's going on online, exposing how, or the TikTok videos, the whole reality that's going on is exposing how confused people are. So we as a group here, we got to really, really go for this. Like, really realize we're at war, and it's not just a war on the field in the army. It's a cultural war, and that means we need to know our values. And in the intimacy realm, it's going to be really one of the hardest places, and it's the most personal as well, because this is, think about it. This is your body, your intimate realm. This is who you're letting into your the most intimate self. Now, if you take from the Torah, it says when Adam connected to Chava, he knew her. It means knowing the other person on the deepest level. That's what intimacy really is. It means connecting on the most deep level. There's a guy called Gedalia Fentz I'm a fan of, and he has a rehab, and we're friends in Miami. A beautiful home. He has a detox. He has amazing businesses, which I've been in his businesses, and I'm just always like careful with what I'm saying. But when I was at his business, he has this like Miami, like beautiful woman PA working for him, and I walk in, and I have to talk to her a little bit because he's asking me to go back and forth between her to get things printed and prepared for the event that we're doing in Miami. And so she starts talking, and I'm there all day, every day for that time in Miami because I've got meetings in the office there that he's given aside a space. And he's making a party in his house, beautiful house. I mean, it's on the bay there, and it's like with a beautiful swimming pool. And, like, you have to understand this setting. Most bays in Miami, I don't know, have you been to Miami, guys? You live in Miami. So if most of the bays, there's constant like traffic in the bays with boats. Yeah. His bay, there's nothing because it's private. And that's like another level. There's levels, yeah? But to get into his building, you have to go through levels, not just one level of security, 2-3 levels of security to get to that part of Miami. Like, there's gates and gates and gates. And you get to it, and this house, swimming pool, the whole setup, it was all lit up. It was all decor like you can imagine. And they even had a DJ and a barman for the party. And I was talking to her, and she was like, I was like, you should come as well, because like his worker. And she said, oh, don't worry, I'll be there. And she turned up, and and I'm a married man, and I got to like have my boundaries, and I'm here to do good, only positive things and focus. And obviously, there's nothing. She's like, it's not even anything going to happen or anything. But nevertheless, there's still that energy. And you've got to figure out, like, now, my energy is for my wife. That's it. My energy, I can't even think about this. It's not even an option. It's not even a conversation. And I'm sure it wasn't in her head. But as a man, you're going to start feeling those things when you see a beautiful lady and you're communicating. Now, one of the things is that's been brought to my attention, and this, I want you guys once again to ask me questions. I'm not going to just talk and talk. Brought to my attention is that when you see a lady, your first thing to do, especially with the way the world's trained us, is to give her like a measurement, like where's she at? You know, is she a 1, she a 2, a 3, 4, 5? Yeah, the number game. Everyone plays that. Yeah, huh?
Let's play it.
Play it. So we could play it. I mean, I reckon that woman was like an 8, a 9. She was divorced, you know, or getting divorced.
What's next to a 10?
10. Okay. So you guys are already on this game way ahead of me. Over here with the private victory of 1, 2, and 3, we're pretty low down because we've got to first sort ourselves out. That's an important point. You can't really rate someone else until you're rateable yourself. That's an important point. Meaning you've got to sometimes turn the table. Wait a minute. What am I? I was speaking to my wife about it, and she said a lot of the guys don't realize they're not such God's gift to man. Yeah, like when my wife used to play this game, and she used to write my name. You know, Martin Sauber, that was what it was then, and Ellie Goldsmith was my name, and she'd like do the numbers. I don't know if you've seen that game, and you work out the letters with the numbers, and then you see if they're compatible. She used to do stuff like that.
Was it or not?
Huh?
Was it compatible?
It was, yeah. So she was very happy. Or, you know, you do that, she loves me not, with the rose. Or, you know, there's all these different silly things. But the point is that there was that idea of connection, that energy, and that feeling of wanting to evaluate this woman. But remember, women covered Bas Melech Panima, they're much deeper than that. It's not just about how they look externally. It's a person. Like my wife pointed out to me, that a lot of the girls who were the kind of girls that would get that 10 or whatever you'd say, they were not the greatest people inside. They were like BITC, I don't want to say. Yeah, they were jacks, or whatever you want to call them. They were not real people inside. They had it externally, but they hadn't done the inner work. They hadn't done what we're talking about with these last sessions of working on the private victory, of really getting yourself sorted out within. And therefore, the whole evaluation was nothing, because you're not really going to connect to this person past how they look, because the whole person inside is really where it's at. Because remember, I said before, intimacy is getting to know someone. And getting to know someone is past the body parts. Yeah, it's a personality, it's a soul thing. Like Gedalia always says, when you connect, one day, please God, you'll find your soulmate, and you'll connect with that person. When you're connecting with them, don't forget these words. You're downloading your das, your knowledge, everything you've accumulated into that other person. Like, that's really what's happening on an intimate level. That's why it formulates children, it formulates something worthwhile. Now, if you're just downloading it into a plastic thing and throwing it in the pach, yeah, which is unfortunately what the world's doing mostly, or you're not even doing that, you've found some other way around it, but you're not really connecting with that in mind, so you don't really understand it. You've just got this tremendous opportunity to bring down the soul, and you've downloaded it to nowhere. Yeah, like that's, if for example, if a person has a tremendous like gift, you know, you've just got your inheritance after 120 with your parents, and then you just like go out to Vegas and blast it all. How would you feel the next like 2 days after, with the hangover and all the fun moments you seemingly had, but you've got no inheritance? You just blew it. And everyone in your family is like, what do you do with the inheritance? Like, we're going to invest in property, and we had this whole like, you know, opportunity to a business investment, and you just blew it in Vegas in 2-3 days. That would be like, everyone here would know that was a complete waste. So really you have to understand that kind of connection. You're downloading your inner wisdom into something that's meaningless if it's not your soulmate. And that's the concept that people don't realize, how powerful the intimacy game is. It's like the most deep part of yourself connecting with the deep part of another person. And the problem is, the world's made it so externalized that, like you're saying, you're playing a number game. That there are this and there are that, but you're not even saying about what am I. You're just saying what they are. And that sort of devalues who they are, because as we said, the beautiful part of a woman is the inner realm. It's not just how she expresses herself externally. Fine, it will shine out. It will shine out in being a beautiful lady. But yeah, these are the kind of things we're going to bring up, and I want you guys to ask me questions. If you have a question, seriously, I can't win this victory by myself. I can't just stand here and talk and talk. I want you guys to comment or ask, ask me a question about this subject, and I do believe I'll have the answers. I'm not maybe as sharp as Ben Shapiro, but I do have in this subject. I do have a lot of wisdom and experience, that, as I said many times, and it makes you laugh. But I really have had that journey that I'm happy to feel that that's something I can share with you guys, and it will help you. So, and I believe you'll help me understand it better as well by asking me or bringing me good points. Because one of the reasons why Ben is so good at what he does, Shapiro, is because he's so sharp, because he's so consistent at doing it again and again, and doing these debates and doing these up. That's how you come good at your material. You want to become a successful person as well. Keep doing it day after day. Practice makes perfect. Yeah, all the goats, they don't stop doing their thing day after day after day. All right, today I don't have my Jordan. I have Thank You Hashem. So today I'm working on appreciation. Yeah, but every day it's different vibes. But the question is, how are we going to win this war? We got to do it together. We can't do it alone. And that's really the real key to win-win. Win-win means I want you to win just as much I'm going to win. Yeah? In your army unit, I want to be the best soldier, or you want to be the best unit? Yeah, best pluga. You want to be the best pluga? Because it's not going to help. You might be blasting everyone away, but now your plugger is half asleep or not really into it, and then you're by yourself out there facing the enemy. That's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good ending. It might be a good Rambo movie, but it's not going to be a good reality in Olam Hazeh, and the reality of how war really is, not just how the movies make it. Because there, the bullets always miss. Here, if you don't have your backup and your team, the lowering the chances is not how we do war. So who wants to ask me something, please? Question about intimacy, scoring women, I don't care what it is. You want to ask me graphic stuff, I'll deal with it. I'm there.
You regret sleeping with women before you got married?
Yes. So one of the most painful days of my life is when I slept with that girl, Emily, from Prince William's birthday. Did I mention that story already?
Was that your cousin?
No, the cousin. That's another one. So that one, I never slept with her. And I don't regret not sleeping with her. Thank God. Because that was a bit weird. I don't regret not sleeping with her because I didn't sleep with her. I did kiss her, but that was weird. It felt weird. It's I don't know, that moment where you just... there was a movie though that, what was it? Back to the Future, when he kissed his mother or something. I don't know. That was pretty freaky. Yeah. But yeah, kissing your cousin's not really you can marry them. It is not against the rule book, but yeah. But do I regret? Yeah, the one I regret is Emily, the non-Jewish girl that I slept with, because I don't know. It just... One, I'm Jewish, so it was the first time I slept with a non-Jewish girl, and I think it was my first time sleeping with any girl, actually. And I'll be honest, I borrowed I'm going to be very graphic here. I don't mind, it's recorded, it is what it is. I borrowed a recording from my brother, I bought a condom for my brother, yeah? So he had it in his room, and I knew he'd have, so I went into his drawer and took him. I wasn't prepared, and it broke. Yeah, because it wasn't obviously I don't know, maybe it was it wasn't valid or whatever it was. Or it could be other reasons. I don't want to say. But the point was, it broke, and so not only did I sleep with a non-Jewish girl, but also the condom broke, and then I was freaking out afterwards. Yeah, and I know there's an after the thing pill and all this stuff, but I wasn't so clued up at that time, and maybe they didn't have technology like that as much. Remember, it was in the 90s, yeah? So I don't know where they were at with that stuff. So I went to my oldest brother, and I told him what happened, because I was freaking out, and he's not the most emotionally, tuned in guy, but he was there for me in those moments, and he said to me, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. Probably nothing happened. And but I said I feel really dead inside, like something wrong happened, and that he couldn't explain. But I knew deep down as I went on my journey, that's because I slept with a non-Jew. Yeah, that something inside me felt like it died, I didn't feel good. Forget about the other part of it.
Did she get pregnant?
No, she didn't. I didn't feel good. Now this same girl, Emily,
You didn't feel good only because he was a non-Jew or because he was
deep down,
really?
I felt like
That's a lot,
something.
like whatever. That's like
I felt like
so small to getting someone pregnant. That's like changing your whole life.
yeah, but that wasn't my. Everyone said don't worry about it because I explained how it went down, and they were like, don't worry about it. But when it came to the feeling how I felt inside about her, guys, just to catch you up, we're doing a Q&A of intimacy stuff because we want to win this war, and I'm just going through a little bit. They asked me about do I regret some of the girls I slept with before. So the one I regret with the most is the non-Jewish girl who I slept with. Yeah, and she was the only one non-Jewish girl I slept with. I did have other opportunities, and each time I turned it down.
Every time you went to the club or something,
I turned it down.
you were sleeping with.
No, girls.
You wanted to make out with someone, you asked if they're Jewish?
No, girls. It was obvious. Girls. I remember. I'll give you another story, and then we'll get back to the Emily one.
Or something like
No, another story. I'll tell you a story. I was in one of these Ibiza islands. You know Ibiza? Like, you ever heard? There's even a Netflix film called Ibiza. Actually. It's like
the most famous party destination like outside the US. Like you have Las Vegas in
these
the US,
Spanish
Europe,
islands. So the one I was on was called
Ibiza.
It was the one I was on wasn't as big as Ibiza. It was like a lower level version. It was called. I have to ask my friends. We were all like remembering that weekend there. It was crazy. I feel Malagoof.
Yeah,
Malagoof. We went to Malagoof. I can't remember the name. And it was crazy island. Yeah, we went there as my crew, and my ex-girlfriend at that time. She was the other girl that I was with for a long time. And it was Deborah, and she was there as well. And I was there with my boys, and she was there with her crew. And the guy that she cheated me on with the dress. Remember I told that story? Did I tell that story?
Yeah.
She cheated on me with the dress that I just bought her that day. And so she was there at that party, at that island as well. That's the divine providence. Like, of all the islands and all the places in the world, I go with my boys for a week away just to get away from everything in London and just have a good time. And there she is. It's like, come on. And like, and she's like looking good. It's all like, because it's tanned and it's like.
Was your girlfriend that time? Or
She was my ex. But I hadn't really got over her.
It's literally the in-between scripts, that's what it is.
Yeah, it was like
Go away and
You wanted to go to Ibiza tonight?
and she kept being at the same places, all the main locations I went to, and then the guy that she cheated on, he actually wasn't there himself. I'm going to correct the story, but he was. All the boys that he was friends with were there. Yeah?
Cheated on you and this guy?
She cheated on me with this guy. Yeah.
Oh,
But that was at that party the night after I bought her the dress and been with her family. So now we're no longer in London. We're now in this country, Malagoof or whatever it's called, near Spain. And she's now, what she's done, she's there with not her crew and all the boys' crew that she cheated on with. But he himself wasn't there, which was better because I would have gotten a proper fight with him. In London, it would have been maybe different. I mean, I had more boys maybe than him, because I just was that kind of guy. But his boys were older, and it would have got pretty crazy. But once you're like in a new situation, and it's the guy's standing there, you're just going to knock him out. But I didn't, and he wasn't there. So I started getting a bit of fights with his boys because they knew that the whole story, and they were trying to tell me to stay away from her. And anyway, so at that club that she was at one of the nights, there was this girl who was dressed to the nines. That's what we call it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't use these numbers. Bad game. But she was dressed to the nines. That's how the language is brought down. And she had I didn't know this, but she was tall and she had the whole thing. And she was like one of these club girls. I don't know. Maybe they're employed by the clubs. I don't know. And I started hanging out with her a little bit, flying home. Trying to make the other girl jealous, the ex-girlfriend. And then I went on this whole crazy thing. I was so drunk, and I went on this whole run around the island, and I ended up in this little restaurant thing late at night, and there was the girl from the park club, the actual girl. And I sat down for her, and she said, "Do you want to come back to my place?" I was like, "All right." I'm on the rebound right now, so that's what rebound is. And I went back to her place, and she started taking off all the stuff she was wearing. It was a bit freaky, I hadn't ever been with a girl who wore a wig or all that. Maybe nowadays become more common, but she had hair extensions, and she took off her heels. She wasn't so tall anymore, and a lot of it. What? No, she was still pretty, like as anything. But she wasn't like the way that you experienced at the club, like because it's a whole like show. Anyway, she was like, come lie down and like we'll talk. And I literally did nothing. I didn't sleep for anything. I could have done whatever I want, but I didn't. And all I did was just keep talking about relationships and wanting to connect. And I have this girl who was there, and it's really hard for me the way it's all panned out. And she said, yeah, she has a guy waiting for her in Wales, which is where she's originally from, and she feels bad how she's living out here. And it ended up becoming this deep conversation. And the only thing I did, by like 3-4 in the morning, she just says, "Could you just like hold me? I just feel very like alone over here, really, honestly. Even though I'm living this seemingly fun lifestyle, but inside I feel alone." And I did. I just held her, and I remember leaving like 6 in the morning or something, and the guys were like, "Oh!" When I saw them all, where you been? Oh, you saw you go off with that girl, and I was like, no, nothing happened. And I'm like, what? That kind of conversation. Yeah. Anyway, so get back to Emily. So Emily, she didn't leave me alone, and it's not. She wasn't. She was a cool girl. She was from like royal like stock, from that world of central London. And it's funny because my father, when we went back to London, he took us on a tour around London, like my wife, my third son, and he took us on a tour to all the cool places, yeah. And he went to Buckingham Palace, and then he takes us along this street. I don't remember exactly the street, but he says, "This is where I met your mum. She fell down the stairs. Hey, see the staircase? She fell down. I was at the bottom. It was a jazz club. I met your mother on these stairs." And I was like, wow, like I came into through this jazz club and like fancy place in London. And then she goes, "This place," we walked a bit further down, "is where I met this girl, because I used to work in here. And this was like in the 60s, 70s. I used to work there doing all the decor of the shop, and it was like some sort of Selfridges, but like a London version. And there's still the main idea of the shop still exists in a larger form now in London. But yeah, this was the place, and he still has the name on the wall of the original name. That's where I worked. And he said that in the place who worked there, posh London girls. But some of them were royalty. Some of them from the royal family. Because it was like a high class place, and I was good at this. And one of the girls invited me back to a place, and the parents were like, very upset when they discovered me in their house with their daughter, and not from royal stock. Like the Jewish people have our standards, the royalty have their standards. Yeah. So she sent him out, and he just, I don't know, my father just telling me this, it's like, I never heard this story. And he's like, his time of the royalty. So I had my moment with this kind of royal kind of person, and she was really into me, and she would come all the way from central London. If you know the Northern Line, you know how the underground works?
Yeah.
It's pretty big and extensive. All the way to come meet me where I lived, and all the way at the end, Edgware. It's like the end of the Northern Line. She'd come all the way, and she'd see me, and that's where we began that whole story that I mentioned. And even when I told her, like, we need to have a break, like, I just didn't feel right. And then she even a few times sent me letters and snacks. So I ended up meeting her in town. Now she came in the car, this time I met her in town, and she tried to sleep with me in town, in the daytime. She literally tried, in the car, on top of me, like, was getting ready to go, and I was like, in the car, I was like, nah, it's not happening here. Yeah, and it was that kind of vibe, and I'm telling you, she wasn't ugly at all. She was like a blonde, beautiful girl, like from that world. And I just felt like something was just never going to connect. And that was constantly my question. Why am I Jewish? Why do I need a Jewish woman? Why do I need Jewish friends when I've got all these other options on the table in London? And that was the burning question. Like for me, like my whole journey of Judaism began like that, with that question, where I just didn't feel comfortable with that kind of reality. And same, even when I went to Malaguf, you think I would have hit with some women? I didn't. In university, I didn't get with one woman in university and past a certain stage. I did not. Nothing. And it doesn't make sense. I was like, as I can show you a picture, I already have sent you a few. I was not an ugly dude. And girls were interested. Girls would come to my place. Things would, situations would happen, and I didn't go fully all the way, because I just didn't feel like this is what it's about. And that was also a thing, like, what is wrong with me? I'm not gay, yeah, that's, you know, for sure. And I am sexual, like, I am a sexual guy, like, I have these feelings, it's real things, but like, I just can't complete it with these kind of people. Like, I really need it to be someone more than that. So I don't know. So that's I regretted that time. Your question's good, and I regretted that time, but it did teach me a lot about myself. So that's the important part. That when you go through something in life, the key is, rather than regretting it, it's about what can I learn from it. And I did learn I learned something about myself that I just wouldn't go with non-Jewish women. And it wasn't anyone telling me, it wasn't a rabbi, had no rabbis in those days. It wasn't some religious thing. It was just an inner awareness. I didn't feel right. Something was off. And that was it. That was enough for me to like guide myself away from that. Next question.
Did you ever sleep with two women?
No, I never had a, what they call it?
Threesome.
Yeah, I never had a threesome.
What you like?
Would I've liked one? Look,
At that time, you like.
I don't know. Like, the movies make it look good,
Yeah.
but when I've talked it out, like, because I'm very open with my wife about these kind of concepts. Not that we would ever do it, but just the idea of it, like, you know, working through things. And she's disgusted by even kissing or anything with another woman. So to her, it would never ever happen. Yeah, she's a holy woman. She's not interested, and so that's already like closed the door because it's all about my wife. Yeah. Now there is like a whole movement out there, and I'm saying this, I'm being like straight with you guys, where the world's at. There's a whole movement of sex therapy out there where sex therapists actually engage the couple in that kind of stuff to sort of help them through their sexual journey. And
why? Like, what's the logic?
the logic is that it's sort of, they're trying to awaken the passion. It's not so logical because it's wrong, but they're trying to awaken the passion. They have a theory out there, and it is available in America, and there are people who will do it as part of their sex therapist business. They will physically get involved with the couple to help them develop the right, you know, connection. And I personally think it's sick. You know, I feel sorry for those therapists. I feel sorry for the couples that need that. I think it's a sad thing that they've come to such a low level physically that they need to engage with another third party for that intimate moment. Because once again, intimacy means it's between you and this other person, most intimate level. How can you share that with a third person? Okay, next question. Yeah.
There's this thing called November, like, no, not November.
Yeah. Say again?
It's like a challenge in November. This is the whole world.
Challenge. I know the world has challenges, like people have sober November.
You're not allowed to do anything.
No, that's what
You
he
just gotta stay pure for
Yeah,
a whole
sober
month.
November. Yeah, I've heard that with drugs, alcohol.
It's like yesterday.
Yeah, Rogan always talks about it with his chevra, like they don't drink, they don't do drugs, they have a whole month of sober November. Yeah, I've heard about it.
And you know,
No, you're allowed to drink and smoke.
Sign
You're not allowed to
December.
You're not allowed to be with
You
ladies.
don't like do anything like that.
Okay,
You're allowed to,
so
just don't
December.
all those
What do you
kind
think
of
of that? Is that
all those challenges are good
Wait, I
because
have a question.
yeah, go on.
What's your body count?
Say again.
What's your body count?
Oh, I'm not saying.
Nah?
No, sorry, man.
Can you say it that way?
I've already given you a few insights. I mean, I'm already by 3 already based on this conversation. Yeah, you weren't here the whole time, but 3.
60.
But right now, there we go. That's where I'm at right now, and that's where we're staying in the terms of my journey for this today, anyway. But to get back to the sober November, it's a fair enough question. I mean, I've watched movies, I've seen things, I've even had friends who their body counts are huge. Yeah, it's terrible.
What is yours?
When we were one thing that helped me as a kid to limit that. One thing that helped me, there was a whole AIDS epidemic. Who remembers the AIDS epidemic? Were you too young? When I was a kid, AIDS was like a big thing. So when we grew up, one of the main adverts that would come on was you'd see this like one woman and suddenly this man on top, yeah, because they're connecting in that way. And now it would flash all the people that they've all been with. And it was mad, like, it was like thousands of people just, because they've all like been with each other. It's this whole chain and you're starting to think, so would I want all those people in this space? Like, no. Some of them were disgusting. Some of them, you know, like you entered that woman and then that man and then I don't want all that. And it's like, it's too weird. Yeah. It's hard enough to sit on a plane with people and breathe the same air. The thing that I have to like now imagine my wife with like 100,000 people that through each other, they've all been with each other. It's sort of a bit off-putting. And with the AIDS epidemic, you could die from it in those days, before they had all the technology we have now to deal with it. But to get back to the question, the original question, your question again was Sober November. So the idea of having challenges, the Gedalia Fenster, I mentioned his name before, he has a 40-day challenge. He puts people on it. I can put you guys on it if you're interested. I think it's a good idea. What I did was, when I was in a yeshiva called Neve Sion, we had a go clean month. Everyone who went clean for a month, I would take them out to eat in a fat restaurant. I got it funded, and I'd take everyone out. Now, where did I go wrong? I took them all out after a good crew of guys, and they were drug tested. So it wasn't like just based on opinion. I'm not going to go test your sperm if you've been with someone. I don't even know if it works. But say with drugs, you could test if they've been drugs, and they were daily drug testing them that whole month. And they were all sober that whole month. So we took them out for a fat meal. Where did I go wrong? They all ordered endless alcohol and got pissed off their heads, all the guys. And there was a video of them all drunk off their heads. And the guy who gave the money was like, "You've just transferred from one drug to another. I'm not interested." He was very disappointed because all the guys just got blasted. He was like, "Oh, we were celebrating." I was trying to justify it, saying there's nothing wrong. And he was like, no. If you're going to be sober, you don't celebrate a sober meal. Go sober with like a piss up, as they called it. Yeah, he wasn't happy about it. Anyway, so I didn't do it again. But the idea is that it did work though. People were clean who would never be clean. And in terms of in this area, the 40-day challenge of not masturbating, not being with a lady, it does help a lot because it shows you can have abstinence. And the best part of the abstinence is that you have self-control. Is you start to feel a different energy level. This is once again, all this stuff that we're talking about, how do you win the war? It's because you are now at a better place within. That's the most important point. You can't really do it. It's all about mindset. You're in war. Who are the ones who are going to win? The mindset's in their heads in the right place. So then they're on as we said, the goats, they're like at a higher level. They're in their zone. How are you going to get in that zone? Ask the goats. How much are they bagging here, left, right, and centre every lady around, or they're not? Majority of them are not. The ones who are really, listen to Rogan when he talks about the fighters. Yeah, who are the fighters who are really rocking it out? Who are really winning the most in NWA and all that kind of stuff? UFC. Who are the ones winning it?
McGregor, Muslim, Arab.
No, McGregor not.
Arab.
Yeah, what are they doing?
They don't fuck around. They don't.
No parties, no late nights, boozing up. Yeah, not open to this woman, that woman. The energy level you have when you control yourself in this area is amazing. Because it's so much energy you're downloading, as I said before. You're downloading big money, big bucks. This is like $1 million seed. This is energy. These are souls. And you're just blasting out some whoever. She's walking around with your inner energy, your inner soul, because it's coming through you on the inner level. Your inner energy is going out to some lady that you're never going to see again. She's walking around with your DNA and who knows what. You don't want it in there. And say you didn't even put it in her, you put it in the bag. And that goes into the trash. That's where your inner energy and wisdom goes to. Yes?
Have you ever done BDS, huh?
What's that?
Like kinky stuff.
Kinky stuff. All right. So, this is great. Kinky stuff is overrated, honestly. Because the problem, where it all goes wrong, is it's overly orchestrated. Meaning, let me explain with intimacy. When it's really amazing, it's not even about intellectualizing it. Do you understand? It's not about like setting it into all these positions and ways and approaches. That's already like missing the flow. If you're in love with someone, it's deep. It's coming from it's not even spontaneous. It's from a deep connection wanting to have with this person that's beyond then all these positions, all these ways, all these things. And even if you go into Shulchan Aruch, you go to Halacha, now there's the Mishnah. This is important. Reish Mem is a famous area in Halacha and Orach Chaim. I'm not a rabbi. I'm just telling you what it says over there, and you can do with it as you will, or ask a rabbi yourself. But that Reish Mem, it says you should look at the lady like a demon. basically. She's tempting you with your area, and she's tempting you, and that's the kind of like fear and pachad and yira and like holiness that you should look at it with. That's what's brought in Orach Chaim. You go to Eben Ezer, that's Rabbi Elazar's shita. You go to Rabbi Eben Ezer, another partial Gemara, and Rabbi Yeshua says it's all about pleasuring her. The opposite. It's not about she's a demon. It's about pleasuring her, and there's a lot more heterim, like permission to be able to do how to do that, and therefore it's not like some scary thing. It's something very beautiful, and there's opportunity to. So, based on the two places in halacha, you've got two different ways of looking at connecting with a woman. One is it's a very scary thing, and you can't just do what you want, and you have to be aware that God's in the room at the same time, and it's a spiritual moment. And another one is saying, no, it's about really pleasuring her and giving the full experience. And that's the mindset which I would say for our generation, based on like when I tell you the demon one, you don't really relate to it, yeah? Or maybe you do, some women are like that, but does anyone relate to that demon's approach, yeah? Yeah, anyone feels connected to that? No. About the idea of making her feel good, is that something that you relate to?
It's important.
That makes sense, yeah? Okay, so you've got to, within the realm of Torah, you've got to figure out where you're at and speak to people, and that's why before you get married, you're going to have that kind of conversation, and you're going to have the opportunity to know how to do it in a way that really leads to longevity in this relationship. On an inner level, the concept of kinkiness is like missing the point, because a lot of women the main issue is they're not actually that into it. It's like, unless you've got that kind of, and then I'd be questioning what kind of woman is she, if she's overly into that kind of stuff. Like, really, a woman should want to have that first, most importantly, emotional connection, and then through that you develop into a more intimate level. But if she only wants that kind of physical way and all these different things, then maybe there's something off there. Like, once again, it could be some red flags if she's overly into that kind of headspace. So that would be a red flag as well. But one of the important things I just want to say to you guys is don't make, for example, in this program, don't make these women into objects. They're beautiful Bas Israel, they've come here, they're in your program. These are beautiful souls who are on the same program as you. Think about them a little bit with a bit more dignity, respect that they deserve, and just allow them to not feel like you're evaluating them as numbers and as objects. Like, they're people. Remember that. You have sisters, you have mothers, you have daughters. One day, you don't want to do that to these girls in this program and devalue them just because they're same age and there's that kind of vibe. They're better than that, and you're better than that. And you've got to keep the picture a little bit more elevated, because it's something which is a challenge based on the education you're getting from outside. It's going to make you want to think in that way, but that's not really the right way to think. Yes.
What do you think about going into the back row?
The what? That position?
Can someone explain?
Someone will explain. I don't mind. You laugh. It's cool.
In the butt.
Yeah. So I think that's disgusting. Honestly. Yeah. I all these different. That's where there's certain. Thank God, Torah definitely doesn't like that. Yeah. Now, once again, I mentioned Rabbi Yeshua. There's room for. But if you'd ask a woman, what does she want? Once again, this is the whole focus. If it's on her, unless she's like growing up in some crazy like situation where she was abused or who knows what, or she's been overly exposed to Cardi B or something, I don't know what. Yeah, unless she's hanging around with that kind of crowd, yeah, she's not going to want that. A normal Jewish woman does not want that. Just being honest with you. Yeah, I don't know all Jewish women, but based on the conversation, they don't want it. Yeah. So based on that, all the fact that they don't want it already makes it forbidden to you. Not even Torah. Just being a self-respecting human being. Once a woman doesn't want it, that already says no to you. Because remember, we're here to give to them. We're not here to take from them. And that really is the wrong approach for that kind of connection, because there's nothing they're really gaining from that. Do you understand? Yeah.
One more question. I know it sounds silly, but it's a serious question.
Yeah.
Do you think a relationship is like ruined if you have to use like sexual objects because it means like you're not satisfied with others?
No, for our generation, There are, all kinds of discussions that allow different tools, like what do they call the gel KB? I don't know. I never used it really, but that makes it more lubricant. I don't know. There's all this stuff. Lube, that's what they call it. Yeah. So that there's discussions that you should use that if you need, and there's all kinds of things to help the connection point. But at this stage where you guys hopefully you're not doing it day in day out, you're not married yet, so I hope. So therefore you probably don't need that kind of stuff. And the idea of once again, if a woman, it's really got to do with the woman, like what she wants and what she needs. And you're right, ideally a man should be able to fulfill her needs. But we're going to have ups and downs sexually, and life can be stressful, and people go through times when they're not performing fully, and you can get help with that, but also you can use other ways. But the main focus is once again what she wants, not what you want. Yeah?
You said a girl is supposed to receive all the whatever bullshit.
The seed, the energy.
Like what is the girl mindset?
Very, very good. So he's something coming really deep in a way, because whether you realize it or not, because really it's called in Kabbalah. We're going to say a little bit of mysticism right now. It's called Mayim Nukvim. It's called the feminine waters. Literally, you can figure that one out. Yeah. What does it mean, feminine waters? So it means that there's a certain arousal from below. There's an awakening from the in the ideal understanding of that. There's an awakening of the lower aspects of the connection, that they're wanting you more than you're wanting them. Do you understand? You've created a desire in them, and that really is what a man, by doing all the pre-game, all the emotional work, that's the real key to the game. You want them to want you, not you want them. And that's the real key to bring down good kids, or please God, and later in life, and to be able to have a really solid relationship, that you feel their desire towards you. And that really is, for most men, men want every minute, we're crazy, yeah? And women don't want most of the time, yeah? But a real relationship gets to the point where when it's really time to connect, they want you. And it's an arousal from their inner being. They want to connect with you, and they want you to come and connect with them. It's a very beautiful thing. But it's not going to happen in the world out there. People use alcohol. People force themselves to feel those things because it's part of their group pressure. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. No alcohol, no group pressure, no society pressure. I need to a lot of women feel pressured as well, just like you guys, in their way, that they need to already have done it already. They need to know what it is. There's no pressure. Each person connects to their person in the right time, in the right way, that fulfills that deep need to connect to another soul in the most intimate way. Yeah.
Do ultra-Orthodox people do foreplay, or do they just go straight to it? Because is it just...
No, they shouldn't do that. That's a mistake. If anyone, unless there's a tremendous flow in the conversation, and it's just, they're just in that state where they just want to connect, which is very rare. Yeah. I mean, you'd say the movies, they just jump straight to it. Yeah. But movies, remember, whatever you've seen in the movies does not mean real life. Just very important. I said about war, you're not Rambo, and you're not Brad Pitt, and you're not, take anyone, whoever you... Huh?
Tom Cruise.
You're not Tom Cruise. No one can... I'm back. No one can run that long like he does in every single movie, no matter what it is, always running. I can never notice Tom Cruise. It's always running. No one is like him. Yeah? He is unique, and he's not reality for 99.9% of humanity. He's a unique human specimen. Yeah? So we have to get our heads out of the way the world has been depicted to us from media and get into reality. And to answer your question again, can you just repeat it? I just want to make sure I really get it.
I mean, what I meant is do ultra-Orthodox people just go straight?
So the ultra-Orthodox world, one, they don't have all those movies, so they're not going to jump to it because of all those images of seeing I don't know if you ever saw a film, Basic Instinct. You should never see it, but it's just hardcore again and again, to the point where the people in the movie had sex addictions afterwards. They had to go to doctors, actors. They were messed up from the movie. Yeah, Michael Douglas and people like that. Anyway, so the point is that you should not. They don't have those images. They don't have it. So they're not stimulated that way to just want to do it. But there is a concept that they don't want to be busy with the area enough, the situation enough that they're going to spill seed. They don't want to spill seed because that's something which they're very careful of. So the Orthodox people would be very careful in that way. So they're not going to overdo the pre-game. But if they've been given proper advice, and based on our friend's question here, which is probably the most important point, that, you hear me, brother? Yeah, I'm not going to say a name because I want to do it on the recording, but his question was the best point in terms of where we want to aim towards, because we need to think about where they're at. We need to try to get out of our own head and our own needs and think about where they're at. Where's this other person at? That's why I'm saying in the program, you don't want to make all the women feel like garbage because you're just evaluating them. You have to think about the other person. You have to think about them more than that. And that sensitivity, that emotional sensitivity, that's really going to stimulate the opening of the woman. That's how it works. The emotional game opens them up. And that's why every Orthodox person has to work, and every person who cares what God wants has to really work on that part of the connection, that they do have to open up the woman. Because you understand, physically, do you know how it works physically? If a man, I'm talking to guys who know what, I'm not like making this up. If a man just comes and puts his thing inside a woman, she's not ready. It doesn't work. 90% of the scenarios. Yeah, maybe, like I said, there's always these exceptions. But it doesn't work that way. It's just going to hurt, it's going to be painful, it might not even work properly, it's just going to not, it's not going to happen. So it has to be that process, has to take place. So that process as a Torah person would be, and that's the advice you're given, there is a process. It's even got holy names. You know, we're not doing wedding classes here, but everything has a name, like the concept of the Mikdash, the base of Mikdash, we have a temple and there's different avodas. So some of the names of preparing in spiritual terms and mystical terms is using some of those terminologies, as the intimate moments has those terminologies to prepare for the moment of intimacy. And we're not going to get into it now, but like one of them is called Pitum Katoris, like the idea that you're meant to stimulate, you know, in a way that creates a reach nechayach, that creates an energy, creates a situation. It just comes straight in, it's just not going to do that. So that's, the Torah advice is there is a process. So it's a mistake that people think that Torah people just, like it's very like non-emotional and very like robotic. That's not real Torah. That's something they missed out on learning about it properly. Yeah, they became too caught up with the fear of it and the negative side of it that they lost the love. And it has to come with love. That's true Torah. True Torah is ba'ava, is with love. It has to be with love. So Orthodox people that have mechanized it too much are actually missing the boat. They're not understanding where the generation is. They're not understanding even what it's about. They've become too robot style in keeping their Judaism, and that's a criticism on the Orthodox. Well, they can't be that way. You've got to keep the soul, the energy, the flow, the inner aspects of the Torah, and the emotional aspects of the Torah are also important. You say every day. What do you say in Shema, guys? Every day. You guys, you'll say Shema. I mean, we're in a base midrash now. Yeah, what do you say? It's Bnei Akiva, Mechina, Bnei Akiva. And you get up in the morning. I'm coming here 9 in the morning. I have shacharis, and I left as soon as I could just before Kriyas Torah because I wanted to be here on time. Maybe I could daven earlier, but I like the time I pray there. Works my schedule. So I'm here now with you guys early in the morning. I said Shema, and you guys said Shema, I hope. What's in the Shema? It says, Ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavcha. It doesn't say, you shall fear him. It says, what do you say? Love him. Everyone says every day, morning and night. All the soldiers in the army, whether religious, not religious, they're all feeling this need to connect, to fill in, to tzitzis, to feel like protected by Hashem in this war situation. And what's the most important part? The love. You should love Hashem, your God, with all your heart. So love is a big part of Judaism. And love is part, the ava. The love, the root of love is giving. And the man is the one who's meant to represent the aspect of giving. We're literally giving over seed. We're giving over life energy. We have to give it over with love. We're not giving it over with just whatever. Yeah?
Are you supposed to say Shechianu after your first time?
I never heard that question. This guy is like he's a punish.
Randy knows it, that's before your first time. You say
No,
it,
I like the idea. I think it makes sense. For some reason, there is no bracha on this whole aspect. But there is to say, there is things you can say and have in mind that help the connection or prayers for children, Mizmor David, like there's a segula to say that before you connect with your wife. There are things spiritually you can say before you connect with your wife to just bring down a more spiritual energy, but there's no blessing. There's no specific blessing. Yeah.
Once you reach a stage where
Yeah.
like you're old enough that you both like you can't have kids anymore, are you still allowed to engage?
Yeah. So this is something someone asked Ben Shapiro in Cambridge. They asked him this week, and he answered amazingly. They said to him, so therefore, once you've had your 4 children, which Ben has had, and he say he's not going to have any more, you should just get divorced. That's what someone asked him. And he said, I'm asking that seriously. Because his whole thing was about, producing children and stuff. So he said, well, one, I hope that my wife and I will not be in that kind of state where we want to get a divorce. Yeah. 2, like I'm saying, I'm 22 years married. I don't want to lose, this is forever. 2, you have to understand that when you find this lady, this woman, this is a soul connection forever. And one of the most powerful ways of expressing that soul connection, this is God's will, to bring it into the body, into the physical. God does not want it to be theoretical or some speech in the shul. He wants it like everything in Judaism. What's the difference of our religion and all other religions? We make spiritual the physical. He wants us to bring spirituality into our intimate life. So that when we're with a woman, it's the most spiritual journey. You're journeying together with this woman your whole life. You're going to hold hands, you're going to go to a beach together, you're going to go on trips, you're going to go through challenges, financially this thing, you're a team. You're going through all of life's challenges together till you're 120 with this person. That's the ideal concept of husband and wife. And this, when you connect physically, that is something which is the most manifesting of unification, unity in this world, other than when we all become one ultimately when Mashiach comes. The idea that this connection between man and woman is the blueprint, is the nimshal, it's the purpose of humanity to have unification between one human and another human, and the physical connection between man and woman is the most profound expression of that. And that's why it's the most challenged area. That's why,
Are you, like, I don't really understand the Jewish perspective or whatever. Like, in Judaism, you can only have sex with your wife to have a child.
So that's exactly what what he's sort of asking, but you're right. No, that's not the point. Children, yes, there's another mitzvah called having children, like we know in the Torah. We just read it in Bereshit. Yeah, Puravu. Yeah, what?
That's why they have lots of kids.
But that's not the point. The point is that there's a mitzvah of giving her owner. What's owner? Her needs, taking care of her needs, clothing, feeding, and relationships. Connecting physically, you and her, is an actual obligation in your kasuba, in your marriage contract, in the Jewish marriage contract, that you are pleasuring her, you're giving her that feeling of connection, that honor that she deserves, that oneness that she pines for. That's the way you're thinking about it. Not just about, I get my needs met. I need to get my needs met. You're now thinking about her, what can I do for her? And you think about a real marriage, that's what it's about. You see it. I'm sure you've got parents, please God, even in this generation, you've got parents who you see your father really genuinely cares about your mother and takes care of her. Yeah? That's a real marriage. I mean, a lot of people unfortunately have lost that image because of divorce and single parent families, and people have lost that image of a healthy marriage. But a real healthy marriage, you see your father genuinely loves his wife and takes care of her and wants to give her things, wants to make her feel loved, buy jewelry, clothe her, and nowadays even if you have a boss lady, one of these boss ladies who running things, they've got their businesses and they don't even need the husband, but they themselves will still want that because they still want to have someone to love them. It's just part of a normal healthy woman. They want that, even with all their success. Yes.
What does Judaism say about vasectomy?
It's terrible. Well, that's what the woman taking away the ability to have pleasure.
No. What?
Both ways. It's not right.
I know, but
Not right.
That's not what it is.
What?
It's when you like tie the cord.
The castration, yeah. It's not right. Never. No. It's not an option. We are here. Remember, a lot of the things of like changing your physical self for the sake of society, it's not our style. Like Hashem made you in His image. He made you the way you're supposed to be. Don't start fiddling around with the physical aspects of your body, changing genders and all this stuff. You were made a man, you be the best man you can be. You made a woman, be a woman. You have woman tendencies, channel them in ways that make you feel fulfilled, but doesn't mean changing physically. Physically, this is clear. Man, woman. There's no gender issues in Judaism, if you're asking from a Jewish point of view. Yeah, you have those feelings, you have those needs, work it through, figure out how to channel it. It doesn't mean you have to now physically change the way God made you. Yeah.
What does Judaism say about donating to a sperm bank?
So these are good questions. The problem is you can't really, like just on a simple level, spill seed when it doesn't go into a woman. That's why one of the questions that will come up as more relevant for us is, what about birth control? The whole subject, we'll end on this because it's getting late. The whole subject of birth control. Yeah, you know about birth control in Judaism? What did you think it says? I'm asking you guys. Are you allowed to take birth control? Are you allowed to use a condom?
No.
What's the whole point? Like, if you would understand at a Torah level, the point is the seed needs to get to where?
Right.
Not to the egg, to the woman's, the rechem. The woman's needs to enter the woman's egg. If it doesn't get, there's not always going to be an egg that's ready on this and that, but it has to go into that place. Yeah, that's where the seed needs to go. This holy energy needs to go to the right place. It can't go into a plastic bag. It can't go into the bum hole or whatever is going on. It needs to go into. No, you brought it up. I'm just quoting you. You have to put it into the right place. So that's the bottom line. So now, what can you do about birth control in that situation? Give me some ideas. There's spermicide. That's one. Two. Next. I don't like spermicides. Messy business. Huh? It is. Huh?
What was the question?
Spermicide I'm not into. It works. It kills the sperm, the ability to create children, and it's allowed because the sperm still went to the right place, but there was waiting the substance that killed the sperm. What else? What other options are there?
People pull out.
That's a problem because then the sperm's going in the wrong place. Plus, that's not always guaranteed. How many people have thought they pulled out and they didn't pull out and then they game over? Yes, there's all kinds of things you can put inside a woman now. Coils, this thing, that thing. You put inside a woman that prevents the seed from getting to where it would go to create life. But it still made it to the main area. Like it's allowed because it made to the area, but it's not going to now make an egg fertile. And that's the whole. Then you've done the mitzvah, you've pleasured your wife and everything else you're trying to do, but you haven't created life. And that's okay. That we're allowed to do. Now there are rules. You still have a mitzvah of being fruitful and multiply, so you can't just forever just go down that road. Like people who choose to never have children, that's not really a Torah thing because you're meant to be fruitful and multiply. Become quite fashionable, by the way, not to have children. I watch these YouTubers, Cara and Nate, and if you ever watched them, ever heard of them, they're really like famous. Like right now they're in their van life stage. But one of the things they do, which I really recommend, right now they're riding from California all the way to the East Coast. They're doing a bike ride on a 3-man bike. There's 3 couples, so there's 3 men, 3 women taking turns on the bike, and they're riding across America. So one of the things they did, which I really related to, when they got a third way through, they made a party. They got out champagne and they had a party when they finally arrived to that point and they celebrated. And that's really important. We should, in our class, celebrate that we got to the point. We did private victory and we're now working together. I see this as much more interactive, much more my style. We're starting to win a little bit because we're getting through some real questions. Yeah, we'll end on this. Last question. Yeah.
No, it's a serious question. Are you allowed to marry an infertile woman and then have a child with the egg of another woman and then have that be your child?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. I mean, I hope the answer would be yes, because all these women who are infertile should have that opportunity, because there are ways now through technology to do amazing things, and this only whole unfertile story, how difficult to have children. There's so much technology now, so many opportunities to freeze your eggs and all this kind of stuff is amazing. And it gives people who've had issues with fertility opportunities to have children or to adopt children. The specific question you're asking, that would be a rabbi question because it's quite complex. But I can look into it. So maybe send it to me on WhatsApp in writing and I'll look into it. Because I'm not saying I don't know it, but I don't want to answer mistakenly because it's quite complex. But to end off today's class, you see, one, that all of you can contribute to this class. It's not just me coming weekly. It's something we all need to work on together. There's things you're thinking about that I wouldn't think in this way. You've come up with some ideas. You brought me to a very spiritual point. I started quoting Kabbalah, I didn't know I'd be doing that over here. But the point is that we as a group, as a team, need each other. I can't do this class long-term successfully without your input. So you want to have any questions, you can send me during the week. I'm pretty responsive. You can send me anything. If you have something you want to discuss during the class and you want me to prepare for it, I'll do it. The main thing, and we're going to go for the win-win, is I want you to win, you want me to win. This is a group effort, and it all goes back into the original parts of the class we had. And everyone should be blessed. A beautiful week. Enjoy your day.
Amen.
Keep going. Awesome. Good days are coming. Okay, good. We don't have to do any of that Zoom business. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it would be a waste of time anyway because it's 2 a.m. in America. So, actually, probably that's when they're up. So, yeah, it actually would be worthwhile, but we won't.
Fuck that shit.
What'd you say? You want to say that again? No? Oh, yeah. Who went back?
We have to
English? I don't want to say bad things.
You have to do a class tomorrow so we could bring the something.
Yeah, we need to Verbreng. You know what Verbreng is?
Yeah.
So for me, the best thing about my Midnightrabbi job was they pretty much gave me freedom to do what I wanted at that time. There wasn't no counselors. I mean, there were a little bit, but not one was checking in on what exactly I was doing. So for me, the best thing was to get the guys to come with me to Chabad Verbrengen, and I'd bring half of this yeshiva, and they'd all come back in such great mood, obviously, and it was good times. I mean, it was was the streets of Ben Yehuda because they were all living in Jerusalem, those yeshivas. But another option was I got money for a recording studio because there was a guy who my dad was friends with. He just the year before brought Black Eyed Peas to Yerushalayim. You know that band, yeah? And he'd done a big concert called Jerusalem Rocks. So he met up with me in the old city and handed me $25K on his credit card and said just buy a studio. So we did, and the guys were using it, and we ended up doing a Battle of the Bands that year, which I changed to Unity of the Bands, Unity concert, and because YU didn't have any money after made off of it, and they stopped doing. By that time, they stopped doing any of those kind of things. So I filled that space, and the guys were really into it. Anyway, today we're going to talk about priorities. Yeah, this is a hard one. Much harder as you go up the habits, as you go through what we're learning together, especially in bringing it back to intimacy. It gets harder and harder, and the reason being because it's now going from private victory, which we already said last time when we had the intimacy class, getting yourself sorted out. It's a whole nother story now to start bringing it into your schedule, bringing it into your public life, because if anyone knows what's going on online, for example, the public life can be a little bit ruthless, yeah? You guys, do you get cyberbullied, or have you seen it going on all the time? No. Good. I thought you were joking. You said it with a smile. So you guys aren't getting that, but it is a reality that people do go through, and these are part of the challenges of being more public. Thank God I'm not that public, but anyone who is really getting smashed right now. Even people who are very positive. Everything they're saying has been, I've been watching some of the comments, and usually it's positive, and they're starting to get a lot of hate, negative energy. Rav Shlomo Katz told me himself that he's getting a lot of hatred right now, So publicly, once you shift from being more private in your own, like you're at a stage in life where you're more working on yourself and getting your life together. But once you start bringing it outwards, it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge, especially the way the world's set up nowadays. So we're going to give us the tools to really get the private victory sorted out so that we don't end up, when we go public with our success story of what we're here for, what our purpose is, especially with a relationship. Like, for example, like you can't really lock in a lady until you're like on a private level understood who you are. You can't really love someone else till you love yourself. Like that's the rule, yeah? Like you can't really be dedicated to another human being until you've figured out your own flow. Yes, please ask.
If I'm not for myself, then who will be for me?
Yeah.
It's like, who I'm named after.
Yeah, Hillel.
Rabbi Hillel.
Yeah, so it's true. And if I'm not for myself, who would be for me? And if not for now, then when? Like there's a certain, as we said yesterday, yesterday's class being all in, there's a certain push right now to be a bit more on the ball than we ever were, like less chill, more like focus. That's what's going on generally. We spoke about that yesterday. And I put it up. I think it's important. I shared it around with you guys because I listened to it again myself and I realized there's a lot of good points in that class I myself need to hear. Like one of the things I didn't mention, which I'd want to mention, we mentioned about Avram Avinu. Now he was married to Sarah Meinu, and I didn't want to say this to you in front of the girls. I think the girls were pretty like into it. They were cool. Like I felt like they were welcomed inclusion at that time period. But what I don't want to say is stuff that's going to make you guys feel like uncomfortable because you're probably not doing it. Yeah, and I know myself, like being married for almost 22 years. The Avram Avinu, when he put his wife first, like there was none of this narcissist, like, sort of taking advantage of the fact that women are givers and want to nurture. You know what I'm saying? Like, they generally. So, like, Avram Avinu, what the first thing he did? He set up his tent for his wife, meaning he took care of her needs before himself. Yeah, that was a challenge that straight away at the beginning of the Torah we see already a sensitivity towards his wife. She was also the most beautiful lady in the world. That's brought down in the Talmud. Like we all know that Jewish women are the best. Yeah, everyone agrees on that. Yeah. So it says in the Talmud 9/10 of beauty was given to Jerusalem. And I knew about that when I first came to Israel, so that was very motivating to come visit. I don't know why they don't use that as a brand tool, like for birthright and all that stuff. If I was in their marketing team, that would be one of my lines. But 9/10 of beauty was given to Jerusalem. Yeah, so that includes the ladies. Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah, so the idea that there's certain specialness to our people, and Sarah Meinu, the first Jewish woman, was the most beautiful, and Avram Avinu knew that, but that meant he had to look after it. Because what happens when you go to say, I don't know if you have these districts where you grew up, but like in London we had Soho, or you have nightclub scene, yeah? If you go to more sleazy places, you're leaving the door open for the sleaze to get hold of your lady, yeah? So that's not a good move, yeah? I experienced that firsthand. I had a girlfriend, I bought her a beautiful dress, like really beautiful, like hundreds of pounds, which would be like, way more dollars and thousands of shekels. And I went out with her family for her birthday. She was wearing the new dress. And then what was the move I made that was bad? I then took her out clubbing. What do I need to go take out this beautiful girl clubbing? What's the point? What do I need, just because my boys are doing that or whatever? But I've got my girl. I don't need to go to a club. I don't need anything from that environment. Yeah. But being the stupid kid I was, I took her out clubbing. And what did she do that night? Now I had a little bit of an addiction to fruit machines. You know what fruit machines are? Does anyone? And you're English, yeah. But
it's like lottery machines.
Yeah.
Character,
7777 770. You get chabad. No, I'm joking. You get money. Yeah. You get jackpot. You get. Okay, so I was busy with the fruit machines, and you put quid after quid after quid, that's £1, and you're just putting it in, and it's eating up your money. Anyway, so I was busy doing that, and then I come back to the dance floor, and she's like, I don't know, I'm going to use the word snogging. You know what snogging is? Yeah, like really having a good one with another guy. In the dress I just bought her after going out with her family on her birthday. And I've been going out with this girl for a while, and I was just like, whoa, you know. So this was a long story. I could get into the parts, you know, because this continued for a while. Like, even ended up in one of those crazy islands, like Ibiza style. And she was there, and he was there, and I ended up getting into fights with him and his boys. Huh?
Did you win?
I was pretty much by myself. For some reason, my boys, we were having I was talking about it actually. Remember I told you I had a reunion with all my old friends? So we had a discussion about that trip, because that trip was weird. We all went to this island together. A few of the boys are meant to join us later, but we were like a group, and there was such a negative energy in this island with all like the drinking and the scene and the whole thing, that we ended up, half my boys ended up freaking out one time. Like, one of them had broken up with someone, like it was just, and he ended up throwing stuff out the window. It wasn't even them, and it was someone else, but then he got accused, and they all got sent out of the hotel and sent home, and like the whole trip just went really like not good. And so then by the time I saw that guy, like, and his crew, like, I was pretty much that night by myself. So it was like me versus, and they were older than me as well, so it wasn't such a good, successful situation. But one moment that was important, and this will relate to what we're learning, is I was in the nightclub later on that night, and she was there without all those boys, and she started singing a song which was very famous at that time. It was like a famous dance song. You're free and got to do what you got to do. You got to live your life and be what you got to be. So it was a famous dance song then. If anyone's from the 90s, they would know what I'm singing, yeah? Anyway, so she was singing it, and I suddenly had this moment. I'm better than this. This is not my life. Fighting, women. I mean, even that night, I even got with some girl, the night before, to try and make her jealous. And she was like one of the, like, I don't know if you know what it is, but there's like these club girls who literally, they're there every night, and they're there as part of the club, but they're, yeah, like, yeah, and so she was like doing that with me, and I ended up back at her place, and I literally did nothing. I like, she said, come, you want to lie? I was like, I've got to sleep. I'll hug you. I'm emotional. I'm feeling broken about this other girl. And she said, honestly, I'm fed up with this lifestyle. I'm missing my life back in Wales. That's where she was from originally. And funny enough, a lot of the stuff she was wearing was like all like extra. Like, she had like extra hair, you know, added on, and like high heels. She wasn't actually that tall. And you know, when like, you get into the real life, it's all an illusion, yeah, like, but the prettiness and stuff. But this other girl who was singing to me at the nightclub, I felt like I was suddenly the ex-girl, like, I'm better than this. I don't need this anymore. And I had this moment of godliness in a nightclub in the most sleazy place in the world with someone who just broke my heart for like a bunch of months. And I was like, and that's it. I literally, after that trip, my whole life changed. I ended up back in Spain because that's my family, have a place there and a swimming pool and everything. So I went and ended up there, and I ended up, every time I ate non-kosher food, getting violently ill. All my earrings started getting infected and popping out. And I started making choices, like, because I had one up here and two here, and my ear went really big. It was really weird, like, because it got infected and it just blew up to the point where I couldn't have my earrings. So by Yom Kippur that year, I didn't have any earrings anymore, and I wasn't eating I was only eating kosher, and it wasn't like any rabbi, anyone was like brainwashing me. It was just God was taking over my life. Literally, it was a weird thing. Like, I'm really honest. I'm telling you, it was like God was saying, like, you're better than this, than the secular lifestyle in London, and it wasn't coming from any program or outside. It was just from within. I had a few sincere people around me who weren't religious, who would just talk to me about real things that helped. But it was an amazing experience as a person, like, to go through that. And I knew that I had to get out of that environment. And that was a key point, like what I'm getting at. Like, when you found this goal, you have to be clever about it. You have to think that this is now, as you said, all in. I'm all in with this person, and I can't create situations where I'm going to ruin it. Like, for example, the nightclub. There was no need for us to go there, and that ruined our relationship. obviously it was meant to be because she wasn't the one. And, funny enough, I did reconnect to her about 10 years later. I was working for Yeshiva. I don't know if it's still around, Neve Sion. Yeah, they're still the Neve boys. They're still around. You ever see them around? I don't know if it exists. I think they call it Teferis or something else. Anyway, they're all from. They all live in Telstone, Yeshiva. You ever see the Telstone boys? Back in the day, they were like the boys that come to town and just beat people up, literally. Yeah, like that was what they did. They were like the toughest guys, and all big druggies as well. Anyway, so I was working there, and there was a guy actually like throwing furniture around because he was having like a breakdown from I don't know what drug he was on. He ended up going back to rehab in California, and then he ended up in prison, that guy. But I was locked in the office because I didn't want him to throw a chair at me, and I was with one of the guys, and I was busy on the computer, and I said, I've just reconnected to this girl, like somehow online. I'm going to send her an email. And he was like, oh, cool, what are you going to say to her? I'm just going to say I'm sorry because like before she cheated on me, I cheated on her, and I felt bad like that whole time period. So I wrote her an email, and she was like, oh, it's so nice to hear from you. She said, that time? So that time we were kids, it meant nothing. Like we're just like, we were mature, we didn't know what relationships was. So I wrote back to her, I said, I hear what you're saying, yeah, it's true. But still, like, I've had a journey since then. I know it's over 10 years. I'm sure I think she was even getting married. I was married already many years. And I said, like, nothing to do with that, but like, it's just, I just want to like have closure. Like I feel bad the way I behaved as a young guy, even then. Yeah, even then. And she was like, okay, if that's how you feel, great, no problem. Let's move on. And I haven't, thank God, had any contact. But like the point is that these kind of relationships, which you just at the time you think are just hookups and fun, but it does affect you, and it did affect me in a deep way. I'm not saying afterwards you're now going to have this God moment, but it did affect me in a way that opened me up to want something better, to want something that wouldn't be so painful and so rejecting and so lack of trust, and to be so embarrassed as well. Because remember, I was at a nightclub, all my friends were there, and all her friends were there, and all this guy's friends were there, and it was in front of everybody. It was very embarrassing as well. Yeah, and I was crying at some point because I was like, I didn't realize how much I cared about her, and it was just a very embarrassing moment. And the worst thing was, this was the worst thing, and this is where you start to realize with relationships, you start to do really stupid things. Even that night, I drove her home. Like, what? Drove her home? Like, why would I drive her home? Yeah, like, and I carried on like in this circle, like sort of stuck. We're not really letting go of her for a while. And that's something which, like, you can get confused. The love energy, the whole thing with a lady can really play with your logic and intellect, and you start doing crazy stuff. So what we're going to learn today, I wasn't planning talking about that, but it came out. I think it's important. We have to first get rid of the false relationships to get to the right relationships. And being able to now bring everything we've learned now, being proactive, that means what's proactive? You guys tell me, we've talked about it enough. Yeah? Choosing, someone here said.
You make decisions.
You making a decision. Choosing. Making the relationship happen. Meaning creating relationships, yeah? Okay. Second, what was the second thing we've been learning over here? End in mind, mission statement. One of the things your counselor said, you have a journal. Is that right? Does anyone use it? Honestly, I bet the girls do. But do you guys use it? Maybe. Okay, so if anyone wants to use it and wants to write down stuff, great. That's what she asked me to mention. Okay, I did my job. Okay, but okay, I know the girls are definitely probably using it more. Yeah, because it's different. Like women have a different way of taking these kind of things more seriously. But the point is that you've got your phone somewhere. Write down your mission somewhere. Put it down. Start working on it. Even now, trust me, you'll appreciate it long term, because it will give you that individual like self-control that you're more self-aware now. It's not just about what your parents are saying. It's not just about what your friends are saying. It's not just about what the counselor. You start to build your own vision of who you are, what you're here for. It's important. Yeah, this is your life. It's no one else's life. And as much as everyone's going to say their piece to you, you got to figure out for your own individual way what it is I'm here for. And that's got to be your own personal thing. And you write it down, and you develop it, You can pray on it, you can discuss it with someone who you feel is more objective and actually cares about you legit. Like, these are the kind of things you can do. Now, we're at a point, once you've done that, then we get to this third thing, priorities. What is my priority? Is my priority fun? Like, if you would figure out what's the top of my priority list, what am I going to invest the most amount of time in? Is my priority this latest like Xbox game or PlayStation game? Yeah, or you have to figure out what is my priority. Is it while I'm in yeshiva or in Bnei Akiva or wherever you are, while I'm in school, while I'm in university? Is it to get laid? Yeah, I don't know if you know what that means. To get women? Yeah, like, is that what it's about? Like, is that my priority? You start working out, what are my priorities? Like, is it to honor my parents or not? You start figuring out. And when you start to work out what the most important things in your life are, then you can start setting it up, how you're going to go about doing it. Now, every company, every business guy, every successful person you look at out there, they know what their priority is. And they're so laser focused on doing it. Like, there's nothing going to stop me. I would get out a pen and start writing on the board, like all these quadrants, and start mapping out how you need to make that the main focus of your time. Because basically, otherwise what happens, you spend a lot of your time putting out fires if you don't do this. What does that mean? Like my whole story with the girl, you're wasting your time with this girl who's not going to help you in anything in life other than play with your head and your money. And you're not going to get long-term much back out of this relationship. Like, it's a waste of time, basically, literally. Or if you're totally addicted to your video games, which right now I have a game I'm playing that my kids got me into it, and
What's it called?
it's a stupid game, like Hotel or something, running a hotel, yeah? It's really stupid. But maybe I just enjoy the fact you make loads of money out of it and constantly scale. But so you're constantly scaling and building this hotel. But the point is, if I would clear about my priorities, I wouldn't waste my time with it. Yeah. So that's like, we got to figure that out. Like, how much time we have to also have fun and chill time, but not that it takes over functionality. Yeah. And this is like something which, once again, as I said, as we're going on these classes, it's going to get harder and harder, because this is starting to get into a more subtle, like, real look at yourself in a much more like analytic way. You're not just going to be like, whatever the road takes me kind of thing. You're going to be a bit more mindful and intentional. And that's going to happen all the time, like with life, that you're going to have to figure out more and more, like while you're in yeshiva, like, or Bnei Akiva, or you're in university, or wherever it is, like, even though there is a whole time set aside to just chill, but there's also time to learn, there's also time to give, there's also time for yourself. That's really important. You have to figure out, when you're with yourself, sometimes to put the machines away and just figure out, who am I? What am I doing over here? Like, what am I, there has to be some self-assessment. That's why it's one of the things, having a mission statement is really good. Or journaling, or figuring out your creative spark. Like, if you're a musician, if you're an artist. Right now my wife's starting to paint again. Because it's not because she has lots of time, but just because she needs to start tapping into that side of herself that brings happiness. You can't just only be a mummy and work, or like be a father and work, or be a young guy and just have fun. Like, there has to be a time for each thing. Like, life is built into quadrants, into schedule. And you need to make sure, for example, exercise, very important. Everyone needs to release physically. If you're only sitting inside classrooms or doing whatever, like, you're not going to feel like in a good state of mind. Like, the people who make sure they work out every day, they're the most like focused, vibing energy kind of process. So right now, I'm a big swimmer. I don't have a swimming pool in the front. I don't know what delayed it. It looks like it's great. It looks like it's ready to go. I don't know why. And now with the war, they have probably more excuses because Arab workers or whatever the other reasons are that it's not being open. But for me, swimming is crucial. Like, I need to swim. It just does something healthy. It releases something, being in the water. Everyone needs to figure out what that is that's going to help you feel in the best state of mind. Yeah, it could be like healthy eating. It could be, basically the concept is you want to live effectively. Now, where do we see this in our Holy Torah? And we mentioned it last night as well about being all in, yesterday's class. So all in is Avraham Avinu. What did he do? He was there for God. He was there for his mission, the whole of Avcha, with all his heart. And that doesn't just mean his good side of his heart. It's two hearts. You have a negative heart as well. Your bad voices, your negative voices. Everyone has that. Everyone has a bad inclination and a good inclination. Avraham Avinu, what his message to the world was, you have to come to the game with both. Not deny that you have that negative side to yourself, that ego. You have to be real, you have it, and use that also for your mission. You have to figure out how to channel the whole being of who you are into everything. And that was Avinu being proactive, getting stuff done. Then we have Yitzhak Avinu, his son. Yeah, we're going to see a lot more about him coming up. Yitzhak Avinu was b'chol nafshecha. He gave up his whole life. We know that next week's parsha, Akedas Yitzhak, he gave up literally his whole life. He was willing to. But he also was willing to give up. It means a certain self-control, a certain focus of what your mission is. That's what we're learning about the end in mind. Yitzhak was all about end in mind. Yaakov is the next one. Guess what it is? Priorities. What was his priority? What did he build for the Jewish people? Family first. How many kids did he have? You go figure that one out. 12 kids. How many wives?
More than 12 kids. You just said 12 sons.
12 sons.
4
4 wives. Now, I can't deal with one. Yeah, you're going to deal with 4 wives. Yeah. Now, understand a little bit now when it starts getting a bit labedic, challenging and you see with the sons and with Yosef, it ends up in Egypt, all the stories that we know so well, that Yaakov was the one who had to serve what? Moedecha, with his money. Anyone who's got kids knows, very expensive activity. But also with your attributes, your character traits, with how he's processing all the things that kids do to piss you off. Yeah? Let's be honest. How much have you pissed off your parents in your life so far? I know I have, yeah, and I'm still 43, I'm still doing it. But at the same time, they love us so much that there's room to work it out, there's room to move on. Hopefully you trying not to overly do that, you're trying to respect them. And the point is, that's Yaakov, he is the master at priorities. He's the one who knows how to prioritize work-life balance with bringing up the family. He's the example of this third attribute. And you see how it connects in perfectly. Avram is proactive, being kind. End in mind is Yitzhak Avinu giving it all, having a mission. And Yaakov is priorities. First things first, family first. It fits perfectly to the characters of our Torah. Now let's think about Avram, Yitzhak, Yaakov. We all descend from them. Every Jew does. Yeah, they represent very holy attributes that we can all learn about. And they've implanted in us those attributes. That's why the Jewish people are exceptional. But the most important thing is to realize they represent the private victory. This whole time period now in the Torah is teaching us private victory. Teaching us how to get ourselves sorted out. Avram, Yitzhak, Yaakov style. Yeah, proactive, end in mind, priority style. Only then can we start becoming a people. Having 12 tribes, get into Moshe, building this larger mission as a people and becoming public. You get the process. The Torah is talking to us in a real way. Saying first, get yourself sorted out, Avram, Yitzhak, Yaakov style. That's how the Torah begins. Then we're ready to go now, what? And become a nation. Become 12 tribes, become a nation in the world, and start being public. So that even the Torah itself is built in this formula of private to public. Sort yourself out before you can go and build a family and a nation. And that's the process. It's very clear. This is one of the things. This is something you should all think about. Have you ever looked into life and figured there's so much patterns going on? The things are not just WhatsApp or happenstance. There's a flow. There's a pattern. Does anyone ever have that? Maybe it's just me personally. I think that way. But there's a flow. You start to think. Wait a minute. I feel like I've been in this place before. And you know what? Things start to connect up. Start to make connections. Does anyone think this way? Or am I just the crazy one? Yeah. Maybe I'm the crazy one. I'll take it. Yeah. you start to make sense. I mean, I'll give you, for me, big thing right now. I don't know if anyone's into soccer, but Spurs right now are top of the league. Yeah?
Yeah, it's delusional.
And that, what'd you say?
Delusional.
That is, you go onto the Google and you price the Premier League of England, and my team is top of the league.
My team is bottom of the league.
Who's that?
Ajax. They just fired a manager yesterday. It's a big disaster. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, we won't talk about it. But it's unbelievable. Like, and they lost their best player this year. Like, maybe, but Kane, yeah, and then he went off to Bayern Munich, German team. Yeah, it was even that's a bit of a kick in the Yid army to Kishkas. But nevertheless, it was a bit crazy to think that a football team that generally never wins nothing, always just is in the middle of the table somewhere, and suddenly a new management comes in, and there's a whole new energy, and the main player leaves, and it sort of opens up. I'm just trying to understand a little bit, how could they be the top, and how is that relevant for me? Because say they got this guy Song, he becomes the captain, yeah? If anyone plays FIFA, Song is like one of the top guys there, yeah? My son, who plays FIFA all the time, always has Song on his team. Like, he's the guy you'd want on your team. And one of the things about Song I love so much, if I do love, it's not just that he's a really nice guy. Like that, I'm not saying that that's unusual, but it probably is in football, because they become, big stars and get a lot of media attention, and it's a hard lifestyle. Like Joe Rogan himself is in awe of soccer players or football players, because he says like the amount of exercise, the amount of the amount of running they have to do on the pitch. There's probably no other sport like that. It's not like American football where they have your football for Americans. They have breaks, advertisement breaks throughout the whole game. There's constant. It's in soccer. It's literally football. It's non-stop running for 45 minutes and then again another 45 minutes, and it can be extra time as well, huh? All right, you're true. Those drivers are nuts. And by the way, if you want a movie to watch, that movie on Formula One, the gaming one, that's a film worth watching. What was it called again? Yeah, that was good. That was a good movie. I took my family to that. That was like, whoa, like taking like technology and movies like to another level. The characters are in it were really good as well. That's if you're gonna between Barbie and that, go definitely Gran Turismo. It was great. So you're right. There are other sports that are really intense. Like they even have a 24-hour one as well. But they have a team. But that's a team, and it is still the stop-offs. But soccer is like non-stop, and you see how big the thigh muscles, the leg muscles are, and because they have to do so much running. But Song, what's great about him is now he's in a position now of more authority and more influence. What he's done, from what I'm gathering, is he's really creating space for everyone.
Madison also changed the team out.
Also, and then there's that other guy who was suspended, who's amazing as well. Yeah, Bismarck, whatever his name is. So they've got some really good players, so that helps. But the real key to the game, as much as Song is the new management. Why? Because it's from Australia. Obviously, they're going to do well. Who's Australian here?
He's not here.
Oh, there we go. We've got one Aussie. Yeah, the manager's Australian. So, but what he's done, from what I'm understood, is he's redefined the whole energy in the team. He's picked up everything at a level, and you see, it's so important to have good leadership. And this is something which I've worked really hard on, because when it comes to finding your priorities, you're generally not going to be so objective. It doesn't matter who you are. You're generally going to have things that you're going to prioritize that shouldn't be your priority. You're going to get caught up with emergencies, things that you don't really need to take care of. So what the advantage of having a manager or a leader or someone objective to talk to, someone outside of your personal needs, you're going to have someone or your own way of looking at life, you're going to have someone a little bit outside of that, and they're going to help you be most effective. That's one of the advantages of having a program. It is healthy to have a place where they help guide you at this stage of your life. They give you like a curriculum, they give you a schedule, they give people like myself come in to give you a little bit of that guidance. It's important because you're not going to always be in that kind of vibe of wanting to do this kind of focus and prioritization, and you're going to need something outside of you. Sometimes life will force you to prioritize. Right now, the war is forcing people to prioritize. Like my son, he was a party guy, like on some level, not like crazy party. Like he got to the point very young, very quick, like I did also, where he grew tired of it. Like by 16 already, he sort of had enough somewhat, and he started to like, right, even when he went out to town, he would like stay away from all the action, and just because he used to get into a lot of fights, but he'd stay away from it. I mean, a story he just told me recently, that there was an American guy who was constantly like giving it to him, like, you know, like making it, like getting in his face. And so at some point he beat him up, like really bad, yeah? And he ended up in hospital. Like, it was pretty serious. And I was worried his father was going to sue, I don't know what, because he was a very rich guy. And he was basically sticking his money in my son's face, saying, and my son was saying back to him, this is just your father's money, you don't have nothing, yeah? But anyway, so I was a bit upset with my son, because, you know, in the end, the guys come to Israel, you don't put him in hospital. Like, you know, you can be upset, you can tell him to back off, but you don't put him in hospital. Anyway, about 2 years later, my son's grown up, he's in the army, he's more mature, and he's on the tram, like the light railway, and this was like a recent story, and he sees the guy, and the guy comes up to him and says, look, I really want to apologize the way I was like getting in your face, and you know, it wasn't good what you did to me. And he said, yeah, I'm really sorry that, you know, basically they made up. The guy said, look, it's amazing timing, I'm about to leave Israel, I'm going to work for my father, I've been here now a few years, I'm probably not going to be back for a long time, it's weird that we bumped into each other, you know what, I'm taking you out, you and your friend, my friend, we're going to go out for dinner. And he went and took out my son. My son sent me a picture of him sitting with this guy and his friend and the other guy's friend, and they had dinner together. Yeah, it was like the recent moment. Like, this is cool. Like, he's grown up. The other guy's grown up. There's maturity. Now they're like figuring out. Like, it's not just about at the moment, you know, the alcohol that they're on, and just like that ego sort of man, sort of, you know, making sure everyone knows who he is and he's around and he's the toughest guy in this place and all that kind of nonsense that goes on amongst us guys. And he's like, no, we're going to make peace, we're going to eat, we're going to connect. And then the guy went, literally after that meal, went into a taxi, went off to the airport. It was his last time in Israel. And this was like a real story that just happened very recently. I mean, I've got so many stories, and this is not even me, this is my kids, yeah? So we start to realize that you start to live like a bit more elevated life with all these kind of decisions. Instead of beating people up, you're working it out, you know. And he was real that, yeah, he does come from a wealthy home, and it's not right for him to splash it in all these hard-working Israelis' faces. At that time, my son was working in a falafel store, so he kept coming in there and like making fun, kind of thing, you know. Like, he's got his dad's card, and you know, life's good, and he can just buy this and buy that. And my son's like schwitzing away working in a store, you know, like. It's like, come on, have some respect for these young people who are working for their money, you know? And so there was a certain like fixing of that. But anyway, the point is that schedule, prioritization, and being focused on what you're here for. You might need a little bit of outside help to get there. Since we're sort of ending up the class now, I want to ask anyone any questions. We've had now 3 important principles put out there that connect into our essence of who we are, being kind, having a mission, and now how to actualize that mission in real time. Obviously there's loads of levels of how to get that better and better done, and we can discuss it. But does anyone here have any questions, like right now, what's going on in life? I know you guys are in a program where they have changed up the flow. There was meant to be more TLM. You're meant to be going around doing more stuff. I know that's hard because the TLM, like, I joined a program when I came to Israel. It was called the JLE Experience, yeah, and it was amazing. We went like everywhere, all around Israel. And if I was at your stage and having to go through, well, that's pretty cool. And I was at your stage going around like, yeah. But you know, by the way, we managed to, what's the word? We helped effectuate, or there's another word for it, 60 knives for my son's unit. Like, we helped them raise money for that because they didn't have the proper knives, army issue knives. And so someone was asking me when I told him that, he says, what do they need knives for? So my wife's answer was, well, they need to cut things. Like if they're trying to get, through a tunnel and there's going to be booby traps or who knows what, they're going to have to cut stuff. Yeah. I said, I hope it's just that kind of stuff, but I think it's going to be hand-to-hand combat. Like, what happens if your bullets or the guy's right in your face? Like you're gonna have to. And then the other guy whose son's also in the army, he was just like, no, I can't talk like this, man. Like, he can't process that this is where we're raising money for knives so that they can be in such heavy situations with these Meshoyim, with these crazy people in Hamas.
Better than not having any knives.
That's true, 100%. They also got ceramic vests, very high quality vests, brand new bags, like. Everything was updated, thank God, in this time period, thanks to all the kindness of the Jewish people. And, we have to realize that this is going on right now as we speak. And therefore, rather than mourning the loss of Tiolim and more like a fun energy, a larger program, as we spoke yesterday, it would be wise for all of you to figure out what can you contribute. Everyone, as I said, has a sphere of influence. Share posts that make you proud to be a Jew. Share posts that make you proud to be in Bnei Akiva. Try lift up the morale of your family, of your people around you, because in the end it's a war effort. We're all in this together, and the war's not ending any minute. Yeah, there's still hundreds of people hostages. Yeah, it's not like it's all been resolved just because they haven't gone into invade fully yet. They've been bombing, and there's less missiles right now, thank God. But it doesn't mean it's over. That's the whole game of this. It's never really over, because what do they want to do? Yeah, so making a ceasefire, what does that mean?
Pushing until they win.
Until they rearm. That's true. I agree with. That's true. No, he's right. He's 100% right. There's that side of it that they're going to get smashed and they know it, and that's why they're starting to even talk about giving the hostages back, like all of them. You're right, that is a voice going on amongst them. But then there's the leadership who are not there in Quetta, who are not going to get any parking lot. They don't care. So they're the ones with the final say. And what are they going to say? Ceasefire until what? Rearm. And then they do worse things, this whole thing that happened, by the way, I was listening to Rachel Frankel. Do you know who she was? Yeah, the famous story of the 3 boys who got kidnapped. I was listening to her, Oliver Shalom, listening to her, and she was saying that what her son's being, it's hard to say this, these are her words, of being taken hostage, and the discovery that it created of the tunnels of that time, prevented what happened now for 9.5 years. That were the words that she said. Meaning they were planning that kind of craziness back then, but because of the 3 boys, they found the whole network and destroyed it. Yeah, so it prevented, they prevented what was being planned. Because imagine all those tunnels and all those entrances into Israel, they were going to come underneath. Now they figured out how to go over or through. But the original plan to 2014 was to come underneath. And so Rachel Frankel was saying that her boys had the merit to basically prevent a disaster 9.5 years ago. Okay, so it's just been delayed. It doesn't mean that all we're doing with them is just delaying their inevitable plan. So what do you want to do? You're very clear about what you want to do. So you basically want to, my son said, I'm going to find a villa for you, Mum. That's what my son said.
I'm going to invest money into that.
Yeah, back into it.
Soldiers get free tickets.
Yeah. Okay, so that's exactly what my son said. He's going to get a villa for my family by the beach, most beautiful beach apparently over there, that they've been completely wasteful and misuse of all that amazing land. We'll get it back. That'll be the ideal. And where they go, who knows? Maybe Egypt will take them, Jordan, somewhere. I don't know. Maybe the world somewhere.
The ocean.
Huh?
The ocean.
Ocean could be. So.
If they don't bring underground so much, we need to put them underground.
Okay, so So the army should have priorities as well, as we're hearing here. And I think the majority of Israel, as we're a democratic country, if we were asked to vote on this, if there was a vote we're taking right now, it would be more towards what you're saying. I think that almost all Jews, no matter left, right, middle, it doesn't make a difference, even not Jewish, even Druzim, I think that all agreeing that we need to destroy these people. That's pretty much like consensus. So I understand there's global politics. I understand that we want to do it with minimum life loss on our side and on supposed innocent civilians on their side, but it's complicated in that sense how it's going to actualize, and we're still in the middle of it. I don't know how they're going to actually fully. They have flattened it somewhat. That they've done, but the problem is there's a 40,000 terrorist tunnel network going on, 40,000 people network going on underneath, and they're all waiting for action. They're armed and they're ready for us when we enter. What are we going to do with them?
Hopefully they're already buried underground.
We hope, but the intelligence, that's what intelligence is busy trying to figure out. Because it could be they created such a strong system that they haven't been affected by all this bombardment. And that they're sitting there in air-conditioned. Because where did all the money go? Where did all the resources go? It went to this problem, terrorism. And Quetta. Another question is, why can't they just knock out the guys in Quetta? Why can't they, ask Putin for some of his assassins or anyone, or use Mossad should have the best anyway. Why can't they knock those guys out in Quetta? What's holding back this amazing army that we have?
Global politics.
But what's holding it back? So would you say they've got the right priorities, or their priorities are confused? The government, the army, it's hard to know. And the problem is we need them to make the right decisions. So we need to, once again, as individuals, put pressure as a voice that we want action. We want something to be done. We don't want to end up another terrorist attack the next time, God forbid. We don't want to just keep getting worse and worse. There needs to be some strong action taken. This is evil and it needs to be removed. Like unfortunately, Kahana said years ago, but they're a cancer, and if you've got a cancer, you've got to get rid of it. Otherwise it consumes the whole body. This is like a clear understanding, I think, by most of us. The crazy thing is there are people that don't think like you, and they actually have power. And that's the problem, that we're surrounded by a lot of people whose priorities are not straight anymore, and they're not tuned in to what life's about. Like if we would get into the relationship thing, everyone knows, I brought you sex education when we discussed that program. Everyone knows that the priorities over there are skewed. People don't even know what they are. Or you go to any up-to-date, woke, influenced outlet, and you'll say what are the priorities? It's just weird. I don't know what you're even selling anymore. What is it? What is this message you're trying to say? What is the hope? I remember Ben Shapiro said a funny thing, the recent Batman movie. I don't know if anyone saw it. Was it any good? Anyone liked it? I think I watched it on a plane or something. I remember where I saw it. And I was sitting there and I was like, I agreed with Ben in this point. It was quite a good movie, but it just felt like Batman wasn't really into it anymore. He was doubting himself. When I grew up, the superheroes were all in. What's going on? The superhero doesn't know what he wants anymore. Maybe he's gay or something. I don't know. He's starting to have sexual crisis, identity crisis. He doesn't know what he is anymore. And are you Batman or not? What are you? You Superman? Are you Am Yisrael? Are you the Jewish people? Everything starts to lose it's too diluted, and no one has any clue of what they're doing, and it's just a balagan. And then how can Batman take care of him? I heard the next one, he's going to have a lot to deal with. He's got the Joker, he's got Penguin, he's got, he's going to have a lot of bad guys to deal with. It's just getting more heavy, the whole situation. He's got the new guy, the Riddler. He's got the Two-Face guy, if he's still around. He's got all the bad dudes to deal with, and it's just getting more and more. And the worst thing is they're getting more organized together. So if Batman starts doubting himself, he's not going to be able to take them all out. Yeah, and if Catwoman's on a holiday, yeah, in Barbados, he hasn't got anyone to even help him. Yeah. So I know this is a stupid example, but I'm just saying, like, if the Israelis are out there overseas having a good time in whichever island they're in Phuket or wherever, and they're not here, like, which thank God most of them returned. It's amazing watching the amount of reservists who came back. Then now we know what we are. We're here to take care of our business. There's no doubt. And we're superheroes. We're not like, having a what's the word? Like a crisis of identity, or there's a word for it. Consciousness, or... Huh? Yeah, that's it. Good man. Accidental. There's not the time for it. There's not time for philosophy discussions about, who was right historically, Golden Meir versus, or Begin versus, Rabin. Like, get over this. Is old stories now. It's now tachlis. We gotta take care of what the current security requires, and this is about, like, as Rabbi Shlomo Katz said. I'll quote him today, and we'll end off with this. If we have compassion on the wrong people, who are we supposed to have compassion on? Let's just get clear. What's our priorities? What was the trait of compassion that Yaakov had so strongly? What was it about? Who's it for?
Us.
Yeah, for our children, for our legacy. If he has compassion on the terrorists, what is he?
Dumb.
He's dumb, he's cruel, he's basically causing his kids to get buried. So the people he's supposed to have compassion on, and he's misplacing it towards the enemy, he's killing his own people. He's killing his own family. That's a complete misallocation of priorities. That's like not family first, that's nonsense first, craziness first, so-called liberalism and love and liberty, but all gone wrong, all in the wrong direction. Nothing to do with wisdom and godliness or just normal human logic. It's madness. So what we have to do in our little sphere of influence, make sure everyone is clear about what our priorities are as a people, and that will, in our small way, influence all the way up. It will. Don't deny your power to influence, and don't deny your ability to get the message of truth out there, and don't deny your ability to demonstrate and live your priorities. Live it. Live your priorities. Make important things priorities, and don't let emergencies and nonsense become your priorities. And that's the class today, to live effective. Thank you. And if the army do this, we'll be successful. We'll win. Let's hope they do.